All my taekwondo stuff I do with her, we call it ninja training, because to her, jumping and spinning, it's kind of like being a ninja. So, and a lot of people don't actually see how good Raquel is in the gym. She could kick people's heads off, left and right. She hasn't needed to do it in the fight yet. So
we're still trying to figure out how to take the Raquel from the gym into the fight. Because once people can see that, it's a whole different ball game.
So where do you think the wall is there? What do you think it is that's
in
blocking
my head?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's the mental aspect.
It's getting a lot better.
It's way better.
Yeah.
This guy pushed me to do, and my other coaches, they pushed me to do sports psychology my last fight. And, went out there. I've never been so calm and excited to be in front of a crowd and just go out there and perform. And the fight with Misha, it was the biggest fight of my career so far. And I went out there, and it felt like I was walking into the gym with a friend and just going to go out and have some fun and just put a spar session on, really, with a crowd around us. I was so calm, and I think it was making my coaches, nervous because I wasn't showing the emotion that I normally show. But I was just chill. I was hanging out. I was able to, go in the back and take a nap. And normally I'm, spazzing out and having to do something and take walks and talking to Juan 10,000 times and asking a million questions. And this time I was listening to my music, and it felt like my coaches were the ones asking me 1,000 questions, because they're like, "You all right?"
Because you're quiet.
I'm good. I'm listening to music. I'm going to bed.
Well, and with sports psychology, tell me how it really affected you in all kinds of different ways. Because I did it when I was down at Jackson's. It was kind of forced upon me. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to involve myself, and I was getting ready for one of my pro fights before I got injured and all that good stuff. But anyway, it helped me tremendously. Not get the ring rust off or not any of that stuff, but just more or less calm my body down so that when I am in the cage, I'm not screaming in my head, and then I can't hear my corner man. I can't hear anything. And, what does it do for you?
It kind of does the same thing. It really taught me a lot about myself. It taught me little words that kind of trigger me. So the fact if you're like, man, I'm excited, as opposed to, man, I'm nervous, but you're trying to transition that nervous into a good feeling. Just the shift of words. If you say fight as opposed to sparring, did they ever hook you up to that little machine that shows your heart rate?
Yeah.
And you got to try to calm it and get it back into the green zone? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you would sit here and say fight or nervous, I would skyrocket into red, and it would take me a second to calm it down. And I wouldn't even notice I was doing it. But then if we would just sit there and talk about sparring and little things like that and excitement, I was just staying in a green and couldn't hold it. Mm-hmm. So we just found ways that we had to kind of transition from the way that they would talk to me or the way that we would see things. And basically just kind of everything that I already knew about my body, just learning how to control it and center it. So basically I just learned how to really center everything and just take myself to that level 7 instead of being at level 10, and then just kind of going through the motions without even thinking. I was at a level 7 to where I can think and I can have fun, but I was prepared. So That's kind of what we were doing.
Right. Well, what about now? Now that you have your shoulder injury and you're back into, getting back to where you need to be, how are you using that to?
Well, let's see. At the beginning of the shoulder injury, I completely forgot what sports psychology was. I remembered what it was like when I messed up my back, and I was down in a slump. So I've had all my coaches talking to me and kind of pulling me out of things. And then I just kind of, pulled my head out of my own butt and was like, you know what? This is a good downtime. I'm set. I'm fifth in the world. I just had a huge fight. It's okay to have the downtime and to recover and take care of myself while the division's doing whatever it's doing. So I kind of, right now, I'm just letting myself enjoy life. But, and I started remembering that psychology and getting into a more positive mind frame because I was not there. This shoulder shit is frustrating.
Any injury I can imagine, has got to be completely frustrating, especially when you reach the level that you're at now. I
never ever, like I said, I've been doing stuff since I was 7, and I've never had a surgery. This was my first one ever. So it was and I did it up pretty good here. They had to go in, they went and cleaned up the rotator cuff. They had to sew my labrum. I tore it from 10 to 2. And then my bicep tendon was so shredded, they had to cut it clean and screw it into the bone.
Good Lord.
So, yeah, I did it big. Go big or go home.
How did you do it?
Punching too dang hard.
Yeah.
She kind of heard it when we were training with Misha. She said, my bicep hurts.
I actually heard it 2 weeks before the fight and had to push through the rest of that training. And I kept telling him in between rounds, him and my other coach, I was like, massage my arm. I didn't even want no water. I just wanted my arm massaged because it was hurting. And then I noticed towards the end of camp I wasn't really throwing a right hand as much because it just, like, my muscle hurt. And then we went into the fight, and of course your adrenaline's going and stuff. And then right after that, I was, like, smoked. Like, I was like, man, something's wrong with my arm. So then I had he was like, you got some downtime? I was like, yeah. So then I had, 2 weeks of downtime? Mm-hmm. And then that's when Rhonda asked me to go train, and when I trained with Rhonda, it was done for, and I was like, I need to get this checked. And then he was like, oh, you're jacked.
So you fought Misha with the injury.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch, Raquel beat her with the jab.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't have to throw her right hand. So fundamentally, Raquel just went in there beating her with fundamentals.
And she's, Rogan described her one time, I think during the Correa fight, that as a very intelligent fighter. She knows when to get in, knows when to get out.
Yeah, she's just really, really understanding how to establish that range and the perfect distance, sometimes the perfect defense. She's getting in and out.
Do you think that roots back to the TKD training?
A little bit. Our boxing coach that we just got came on board. He's amazing. All the coaches that we have on staff, our camaraderie it's never been better. We're all learning from each other, and we all just want to get better at what we're doing. Neither one of us have an ego. We're all just like want to learn more. If you have a coach who's like, I have nothing else to learn, then
The great part is like we're all. I mean, we hang out. My wrestling coach, which is Jason, we all play our roles. Like, I mean, I'm the athlete, but it's like, and Juan's like the brother, and then I don't even know what Guzman is, but he's just the cool kid in the group. And then Jason, we call him our dad, and we just have a fun group. It's just. We're all very passionate about things. We all have, like, the same passion inside the gym as well as outside of the gym. And then, I mean, we have some, like, with Jason being older, and he was an elite athlete of with himself, doing wrestling and all this other stuff. And the same thing with Coach Guzman, the boxing coach. We built a solid team, and we just have fun. It went back to, like, when I was an amateur, and all I did was have fun. I loved going to the gym because it was fun. And then at the beginning of my career, when I went pro, kind of lost that. It was so much transitions going into altitude MMA and doing all this other stuff and being around different coaches, and I don't know. We just took a step back.
Yeah, got back to our roots. Yeah, just started having fun and just sticking to fundamentals.
That's what it's all about.
That's what wins fights, man. Yeah. It's not some crazy. There's not some crazy formula out there.
So that's where you guys met originally. We
did meet at altitude.
Original altitude.
So I was pro.
So it was like right after I left.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So because me and you cornered Ronnie together.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
And I would.
Yeah. But I was training as an athlete, and then I had my eye surgery, and then I met Raquel, and I was ready to just pull away and get into bodybuilding. Or physique had just started. And Raquel's like, you know what, you're a good training partner. I have a lot to learn from you still. So, and I saw something in her that what's crazy is back then there was no WMMA. It was like no place for her to go. And it's just to see where it's came and where she's came, because if you couldn't see yourself going somewhere, like why was she training so hard for this?
Right.
I'm like, she really wants this, and there's like nowhere for her to go.
I always said I was going to be one of the first women to the UFC, and how about that? I was one of the first women to the UFC.
And she believed it. I believed it. There's something there that had a little spark when we met. That's why we've been together for so long. So,
and just the level that it's taken WMMA, you know what I mean? I mean, the fighters are becoming completely different now. I mean, you got people like Rocky in there. You're not gonna go in and just into any weight division right now and just walk in there and get ranked, right away.
I love the way like the sport's transitioning. It seems like every 5 years it changes, and I love it because to me,
it's feeling a little bit like entertainment right now.
Yeah. Well, to me, I'm talking
saturated.
About yeah, it is.
It's so saturated now. I mean, everybody looks forward to watching the women fight more than.
Well, of course, we're badass. We go out there and prove points.
Well, and that's good because you guys, you've had to do that because you've started out, and if you slow down, and if there's that dull area, everybody's going to go back. And right now, even in the guys' divisions, I mean, seriously, how many people does the UFC employ for the guy fighters?
Over 400.
Ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
For a promotion. I don't care if you're the biggest promotion in the world. You're lucky if you get a fight, and then you're fighting on fight night, and the only one I want to watch is the girls fight.
Yeah,
because they're the only ones that right now they're the only ones that give a shit. They have so much to offer, and I'm not saying that just because I got Rocky in here and they're just gonna give me a right jaw, slap to the jaw.
No, and I think the UFC recognizes that because you're seeing more and more women's fights on the main card and as a headliner than before. I mean, than ever before. And you got exciting fighters. They're there to engage. They're there to get down and fight.
Raquel's constantly making history. First one to get cut and get stitches on Ultimate Fighter. You were the first one. You and Holly were the first ones to fight, right, at the Staples
Center. And made history at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The New York thing was amazing.
It was. That was a really cool experience. Although I didn't soak in the moment, like walking out. I was just kind of like zoned in to the fight. I wish I would have like soaked it in a little bit more. I think I blocked it out so much that it was such a big fight that it just kind of, I made it into like a sparring session. And now I look back and I'm like, dang, I didn't like absorb anything. I just like got my hand raised and went on with life. Like, I don't really, I mean, New York was cool and stuff, but I can't like look back at that fight like the way I did it at the Staples Center or stuff like that. So it's weird.
So when does that start for you? I know that, we've all been, pro fighters. We've all competed. When does it start for you to get into that mental zone? Is it during the weight cut? Is it the day before? Is it when you're in the locker room getting ready to walk out? When does that disconnect and when does Rocky turn on?
I kind of like zone in the minute I sign a contract, honestly. It's like practice, I'm having fun, but everything is like serious. Like I'm pushing, I'm 100% dedicated and just driven. And then usually during fight week, I mean, we hang out and we kind of just try to do some stuff to occupy ourselves and have fun and go explore new places. So lately I've been trying not to, from sports psychology, I try not to like think too much of the fight and just go out and have fun and live life every day and act like, I mean, basically that's what you got to do. You can't sit there and dwell on the fight and be like, oh, this fight's coming and be so stressed out. So we went out in New York and we had a blast and did all kinds of stuff, explored. And then I'd probably say when we went to weigh-ins, and even at weigh-ins, it was like normally I got to put the headphones in and start to zone in. And I was like, I'm just going to take this moment in. So I just went out there, had fun. And then it was probably the next day, like getting ready to walk out for this last fight is when I noticed that I like zoned in. Like I was hanging out, relaxing. And then when they were like, all right, you're up in 5, that's when it just like
tunnel
flipped.
vision.
Yep.
Yeah. I've never really, in any of your fights, I've never seen nerves on you. Some of the fighters you could tell, like Holly Holm's crazy. She's all over the place. She just looks like a basket of nerves. When
she gets me nervous.
Yeah, I get my blood pressure goes up watching her.
God dang,
just pacing back and forth. You're so calm, even when you start to fight. You walk out to the center of the cage and you're very calm. You're relaxed, and I mean, you just look like you're there just to take care of
this last
like
fight. She was the calmest. And
I was so calm.
It's so calm. So we learned, the coaches learned a lot from the sports psychology, and we have to match it with her.
Yeah.
So I want to be like, oh my God, you're gonna go kill her out, and I'm like, okay, I can't do that because then I'm gonna get her nervous.
Do you find that is that something you've learned over time? It was something that I learned in coaching that I used to be when I was coaching my son and he was little, I'd scream at him and yell at him and try to get him really super pumped up.
This guy used to slap me.
Yeah, I used to slap Raquel before she walked in.
Actually,
and
Eric does that to me before my fights. But
I take the blame for her having an adrenaline dump against Leslie Smith because I slapped her to get her pissed off, and she hit Leslie Smith a bunch in the first round, and then she had that adrenaline dump. So I shouldn't have slapped Raquel.
There was a lot of growing throughout this. I mean, it's all growing.
I know. I mean, I was so young, I was still learning. But me and Raquel trusts me. There's something there. She trusts me. I'm going to do my job as best I can. So that's why.
So no domestic disputes.
She hits me a lot.
Behind closed doors.
I've got a scar on my face from her.
Police have been called.
No, he actually
Say it.
Yeah, don't be shy. Go ahead.
Nah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Was that good, huh?
Yeah. We just made a huge shift and stuff with everything, and these guys, like, they've definitely learned how to, like, cope with me, but he's seen some pretty crazy emotion. Like, it's all behind closed doors, so I may go out there and look really composed, but inside, I'm freaking out. Each fight's gotten a lot better, but this guy, he usually has to handle it for like the whole week of fight camp. I'm all over the place.
I mean, I can't explain the milestone she made with the Miesha Tate fight.
I don't even
you
think
could see it in the you could see it in the cage.
Everybody could.
Yeah, everybody
could see it.
Yeah, I mean, it was huge. So how does that now? For those that don't know, you're married to Tecia Torres.
I ain't married.
You're not married?
Okay, let's clear this up.
Yep.
So we went out because obviously being our